From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger, back from my 2-week vacation from Baja, Mexico. Things are back to normal. You can see behind me here, I'm back in my regular studio. So things are looking up and up, but not so much when we're talking about the potential for more afternoon thunderstorms. Really all week long for most of the mountain locations. Now, not everyone's going to see a thunderstorm every day, or even some of you in the mountains may make it through the week without even seeing a drop of rain or a lightning strike. But the chances are there all week long. I don't expect any major big outbreaks like we saw last week, but there are going to be the potential for some dry lightning strikes. Now, with this, we're also looking at warmer temperatures this week. It's been unusually, I don't want to say cool, but temperatures as much as 10 degrees and even more below normal for this time of the year for over a week now. We're back closer to normal, but still most likely below 100 degrees in most cases, and below, just barely below normal as well. But so that's really what we're looking at here as we go through this week. More on all that a little bit later in our deeper dive forecast. We're also going to be looking at a closer look at what's going on with the fires here just shortly, right after Krueger's Quickcast here for your Monday, July 28th. So let's get you right into it, get you out the door this morning. You know, it's going to be another coolish, mild start to the day. Temperature is 8 o'clock in the morning, about 71 degrees for the valley. Still mostly cloudy and foggy along the coast. And you can see there for most of the higher elevation temperatures, mainly in the low to mid 60s. Big swirling area of low pressure over the Gulf of Alaska. That really stands out when we look at the satellite image. Now, that is just going to sit and spin there pretty much all week long. What that's going to do is prevent the heat over the desert Southwest that will be building into our region, just not as much as it would like. So that's the reason why we do expect to see those warmer temperatures. So let's take a look at the HRRR forecast model, and this will just take you through the day today. This shows the best potential for thunderstorms throughout the day today, but that doesn't mean where we don't see thunderstorms on the forecast model, we won't see any. So for Trinity, Siskiyou, Modoc, parts of Lassen and Plumas counties could see some activity. But as we head closer to the valley, I think those chances will be a bit slimmer. And even out towards northeastern Shasta County, I don't think we're going to see any thunderstorms for places like Bernie or Shingletown or Manton. But Fall River Mills, not showing any lightning strikes there, but that'll be close. Lassen Park, Susanville, but there you can see that chance for many of the higher elevations. Low 60s for the immediate coast and mid to upper 50s for your daytime highs in the valley. But look at the highs. Yeah, we could quite possibly touch 100 degrees in Redding by Tuesday, but we're going to keep it mainly below 100 degrees and just barely below normal for this time of the year in dry conditions. For the coast, low 60s, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Same song and dance there. Inland, I think you'll be dry too. Most of the thunderstorms that we do see this week will be east of Del Norte and Humboldt County. So for the most part, I think the inland areas may steer clear of these thunderstorms. But Trinity County, yeah, you got the chances at least through Thursday, maybe even into Friday. But for Siskiyou, Modoc County through Friday, in the eastern mountains around Susanville, for example, mainly through Thursday. But, you know, we may push that into Friday as well. Otherwise, it looks like maybe slimmer chances for those thunderstorms by the weekend. All right, let's look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Before we get into the fires here, do want to remind you there's a free Weather NorCal app. If you are concerned about the lightning strikes, if you're concerned about any severe thunderstorm warnings in the area, one thing to remember is that the Weather NorCal app actually pushes out notifications to your phone of any severe thunderstorm warnings before they even get sent out from the National Weather Service. So you can be the first to get those watches and warnings before the Weather Service even issues them. Not a lot of apps, especially in this region, have that feature. So you can get those first. Just search for Weather NorCal. You can also, you know, point your phone, the camera, to that QR code at the bottom portion of your screen there. All right, so let's talk about the fires and what's going on there. All right, so let's start off with, you know, the fires we've been tracking here for quite a while here. All right, so we're going to start with the green fire. You can see the latest fire perimeter there. As of yesterday evening, 5:33, latest report, a little over 19,000 acres, close to 80% containment. Where we're, of course, the biggest concern, and it's the Butler fire, that's been the biggest problem here. So southwest side of the fire, there has been some recent activity. See those red dots there? That's the most recent activity of the last 6 to 12 hours. Still a lot of evacuation orders, evacuation warnings. Last report was as last night at 7:40 p.m. at just under 21,000 acres, but now we're seeing it up to about 34% containment. And again, closer to look at the Forks of Salmon area, that north side of that fire perimeter, that other fire on the other northeast side of the river there, that is contained. So we are seeing some containment around the community of Forks of Salmon, which is obviously very good news. Now, the distances to the communities on the west side of the fire, in particular looking at Soames Bar and Orleans, you can see just about 4.8 miles. And Soames Bar, this hasn't changed over the last week either, at about 4.4 miles from the fire perimeter, which is good. Again, we're seeing that the fire isn't moving any closer to these communities. The Summit Fire, no reports since the 21st, 6:32 p.m., 90% containment at 701 acres. All right, I want to show you now, looking at Watch TV, because there are still some fire perimeters that I can't get into my weather computer here. Now, the one that we're really watching here in Modoc County is the Mammoth Fire at 2,533 acres. This was sparked by lightning. You can see it's at 42% containment, so looking pretty good there. There are evacuation warnings for zone MCU-001 and MCU-002. This is just to the west of Highway 139, although as you get closer to the east of Tule Lake, it is to the north of Highway 139. So this obviously is impacting the Tule Lake area and could impact, but the fire itself, as you can see here, the center of the fire is mainly to the southeast of Tule Lake. But there you can see Perez, just north and west of Perez. So that's kind of the latest look at that. Now let's zoom it out here. And you can see any of the fires that were sparked by lightning last week, looks like those are now under control and no longer an issue in Lassen and Plumas counties. But you can see here, there's the D36. I mean, still plenty of lightning-sparked fires, as you can see here, northeastern Shasta into parts of Siskiyou County. You've got the Prospect Fire at 1.1 acres. And then, of course, you've got the Oak Fire in southern Trinity County at 3 acres right there. There's also a couple of evacuation warnings for POM-376. Now, this is north of Highway 36 and west of Highway 3. So kind of near where Highway 36 and Highway 3 intersect. In southern Trinity County, POM-379 and POM-377 is where we have those evacuation warnings. 3 acres and any containment? No, there is no containment associated with the Oak Fire, but still a fairly small fire. Firefighters have really done a great job during these lightning storms to really get on any of these fires that are sparked by lightning strikes. So that's kind of the latest look there. There have been over a dozen new sparked fires from lightning really over the last week or so from all of the lightning strikes that we have seen. So there's the Tank Fire, by the way. No containment there. That's in Modoc County at 5 acres. And then, of course, you've got the Sugar Fire at 0.2 acres here. That is, I believe it is, yeah, there's Davis Creek and kind of the Fort Jones area, or basically to the west of the Fort Jones area. So that's the latest look at the fires, folks. Here's something we can kind of get into here, and we're going to talk about the smoke. Now, the smoke that's really been producing, or the fire that is, that's been producing most of the smoke, is the Butler Fire. So as you can see here, as we start to see those winds push from west to east, it'll push most of the smoke into northern Trinity County and southwestern Siskiyou County, where we're going to see most of that smoke. A little bit of haze later tonight and into tomorrow morning. And then we see kind of the repeat of that. You see mainly southwestern Siskiyou County working its way in here as we go into tomorrow afternoon. By the way, as we just went into great detail about the fires, I mainly just do that in the morning unless something major happens in the afternoon or evening. So I don't really cover the fires that much during your afternoon, evening updates. But if you want to get the latest information on the fires throughout the day, in the evening, 24 hours a day, really, you can go to weathernorcal.com and click on the fire danger section, and that'll give you all of the information that you need. All right, let's take a look at the fire weather forecast, and we're going to go ahead and start with those winds as we typically do. Let's take you to the main weather computer now, and we'll kind of get into this here. And there I am standing up. Small studio, folks. Hopefully we can get that a bigger studio one of these days, but in the meantime, it's a fairly small studio. All right, so here you go. The winds this afternoon, they're picking up a little bit pretty typically, but nothing major, nothing to be terribly concerned about here. And again, no major wind events here to really talk about over the next few days, just those typical afternoon breezes. Now, the National Weather Service has issued for central and eastern Siskiyou County for tomorrow a fire weather watch, and that does include Modoc County. Quite honestly, we are going to be looking at through the week fire weather watches, red flag warnings, because there is going to be the potential for afternoon thunderstorms each and every single day this week in the mountains. So here's kind of the big picture. Number one, we are seeing some monsoon moisture kind of working its way into Northern California. So that is the moisture source that we're seeing with these thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Now, it's mainly afternoon convection that we're seeing. There aren't necessarily any major disturbances pushing through to really help destabilize that atmosphere, so it's the typical afternoon convection. It's just not as dry as we typically are because, again, we're seeing some of that monsoon moisture work in, and that's giving us that moisture for those afternoon thunderstorms to develop in the mountains. In the meantime, temperature-wise, we've got this area of low pressure right here. Now, this is going to sit and spin here, but this is important to really take note because the heat over the desert southwest is building into our region. The center of that heat is way off to our east, but the dome of high pressure is building into Northern California. And as a result, our temperatures will be warmer this week than we were last week. You may recall the last week, week and a half or so, we've been about 10 to even upwards of 15 degrees below normal for this time of the year for quite a long stretch. But now it's time to get back to normal, right? Temperatures will be closer to normal and most likely still staying below 100 degrees. All right, let's take a look at that severe outlook. Storm Prediction Center has a chance for thunderstorms for all the areas in green here. Overdoing it for the valley. I don't think the valley is going to see any activity here for today. Tomorrow, you can see it's mainly north and east of the valley here and the potential for dry lightning strikes tomorrow. And then Wednesday, do it all over again with more thunderstorms for most of the higher elevations. So let's take a look at Futurecast. And this is going to take you out the next 2.5 days. All right, so here we are this midday. We're seeing the afternoon clouds. So what you'll notice through the morning, those clouds will just start to tower and get bigger and bigger. And eventually, we'll see some rain and thunderstorms associated with those clouds. So there you can see Trinity, Siskiyou, Modoc, and Lassen counties could also see a chance for some of those thunderstorms. I do think, though, out towards Bernie, Shingletown, your chances are going to be very slim for any of that activity. Now, this is moving a little close to the valley. So with that said, and really looking at the past, listen, it's not out of the question, even this evening, for maybe some of that to roll into the valley. But I think most of it will stay to the north and west of the Redding area. Then by tonight, it's all pretty much over with, right? But then we see round 2 come in for the week and see by midday the clouds are developing, but no thunderstorms at this point. It's going to take a little bit longer for them to develop, and most of them do look to be Siskiyou and Modoc County, maybe even out towards Lassen County as well. But we still can't rule out a little bit of stray activity here in Trinity County as well. That's 6 p.m. You see how the best chances do look to be in northeastern Modoc County. Then it's all over again for the most part by Tuesday night. But look at this. By Wednesday morning, we're going to see a little bit of a spin here, and on the west side of that low pressure, you can see that is producing some shower and thunderstorm activity, maybe in eastern Lassen, Plumas, and even eastern Modoc counties. And then we go into around midday, and that kind of starts to spread a little bit westward, and I do think we could see afternoon thunderstorms developing for places like Trinity County as well, but most likely staying out of the valley at this point. All right, so we look at the long range here. And you can see as we go into your Thursday afternoon, see the chance for thunderstorms. We go into Friday afternoon, see the chance for thunderstorms developing in the mountains. We go into Saturday. Now, Saturday and Sunday looks like we may steer clear of any thunderstorms. So it's mainly just this week. Then possibly by the weekend, the chances for thunderstorms may begin to diminish in the mountains. Let's talk about the temperatures here because it's still going to stay below normal, but it's getting closer to being a lot warmer than we have been. Again, this is going to pretty much stay put through Wednesday. We're going to take it through Wednesday. This heat is building. It's getting stronger, and it's building in Northern California. And that's why our temperatures will be warmer this week. But this is keeping this from really building in over us. But then as we go toward the end of the week, what's going to happen is that's going to stay put. Again, temperatures staying just below normal for this time of the year, but close to normal, upper 90s to maybe even close to 100 degrees in some spots for the valley through this week. Then what happens is this heat here is going to start to build. You see how this kind of flattens out? Now we don't have really a prominent ridge, and this is starting to push that cooler air a little bit more to the north. One of the things that I'm watching, and we're going to keep those temperatures below normal even through this weekend and early next week, but what I'm starting to see in the long range is the potential that by the end of the first week of August into the second week of August, this heat is really going to build in and work with this heat here, and we're going to see some bigger heat, some of the bigger heat that we've seen for a while. And, we're talking temperatures over 100 degrees, 105, maybe approaching 110 degrees. That's a long way out, folks. That's a long way out. In the meantime, so things will change, most likely. But in the meantime, we're still mainly near normal as we go through this week into the weekend, with that cooler air kind of off to our east. So the 10-day trend, all right? So remember, really I've been showing you this since last week, and it's just all been below this blue line. And for the most part it is. The blue line indicating the normal high for Reading, which is about 100, 101. So you can see we're getting closer to normal, upper 90s on average for most of us. Mid to upper 90s for those daytime highs. Chico closer to the mid 90s, Reading closer to the upper 90s. But we could touch 100 degrees over the next 10 days. It's close. I mean, 99, 100, all right? You're talking about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You get the idea. It's going to be hotter, but still most likely below normal. Look at the temperature so far for the month of July. It has been a weird month, right? Because we started off the month with temperatures over 100 degrees. We saw the hottest temperature of the year on July 11th. And then after that, temperatures actually dropped below normal. All these blue boxes indicating temperatures below normal. Look at last week today. 105 degrees, 85 degrees. And then we kind of warmed up a little bit here, but still below normal, and below normal yesterday. We'll be below normal again here for today. So we look at the wave heights, and we're not really seeing a whole lot of activity here going here. It looks like they're starting to increase a little bit here for your Tuesday, but overall no small craft advisories, just looking at that patchy dense fog. North winds at about 5 to 10 knots, waves from the northwest at 3 feet in about 7 seconds. All right, here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Those temperatures will be in the low to mid 90s for your daytime highs. Now, again, don't look at this and go, oh my gosh, it's going to be every day, right? No, don't freak out. But the chance for thunderstorms will be there each and every single day, at least through Thursday, maybe Friday. Very good chance many of you may make it through the week without even seeing a drop of rain or a thunderstorm, but it's just going to be very isolated, very much scattered over the next 4 to 5 days. For the coast, you're dry, maybe some of that morning drizzle. For the inland areas, I think most of the thunderstorms will stay east of Del Norte and Humboldt counties. So I'm keeping the inland areas dry, just warmer this week. For Siskiyou County, all the way through Friday, chances for thunderstorms each and every single afternoon. Now, as I mentioned, and I will continue to say this, not everyone's going to see thunderstorms every day. Not everyone's going to see a thunderstorm at all over the next 5 days. But the potential is there for all of Modoc County today through Friday, mainly through the afternoon hours. That's the case for the eastern mountains as well, mainly through Thursday, possibly into Friday, for places like Susanville, for example. It's just the warmer temperatures for the valley that we'll really be talking about. We're talking low 90s for your daytime highs. And looking at this next 7 days here, we're going to take a look at Chico. You can see on average in the mid 90s for the next 7 days. A little bit of drop in the temperature on Wednesday, but nothing terribly unusual for this time of the year. Temperature is not too terribly hot. It's going to be hot and hotter than last week, but nothing above normal. In fact, below normal. 97 degrees for Reading and Anderson. 95 for Red Bluff. Certainly a far cry from the low to even mid 90s, but still not that bad for this time of the year. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Reading. Yeah, we could touch 100 degrees here at times, but generally in the mid to upper 90s for your daytime highs for Reading over the next 7 days. All right, that's your morning update. I'll be back again this afternoon for your latest forecast. Have a great afternoon.
Fire spreads quickly. Don't wait until it's too late. Garmin's Tractor Service specializes in field mowing and light tractor work to help protect your family, your property, and those around you. We're fully insured, locally licensed, and ready to help you create the defensible space you need. Call or text Garmin's Tractor Service today. Protect what matters before fire strikes you.